What's happening, people? Shay here. Uneven Bounce. Hope you guys are well. So, is it repeat or revenge? The 2012 IPL final between CSK, Chennai Super Kings, and KKR, Kolkata Knight Riders. Promised to be a fantastic final start tomorrow at 3 o'clock BST. Here joining me today, I've got the Jaffa Merchant hardcore KKA fan, Saim Banerjee, aka Bush or Not. Hopefully, KKR, I'm sure he's thinking busting a few CSK nuts tomorrow. We're meant to have a couple more guests coming on, possibly coming a bit later. We're talking with Krishna Kalki, CSK fan, Krishna Kalki, along with DT and Meta. They might be joining us a bit later. But as always, always depend on Saim Banerjee to pitch up and discuss cricket, especially when it comes to the IPL. So we'll get straight into it. Obviously, we've seen an incredible resurgence since the resumption of the IPL. KKR were languishing 7th place, second from bottom, before the resumption, and ended up reaching the final. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Strung together a number of wins. Morgan, we'll get into Morgan and Baz a bit later, maybe actually quite shortly, in fact, to discuss obviously their roles in KKR's improvements in form. But as we speak about off camera, really, Simon, weren't we? As I said before, I mean, they were 7th and now they've ended up in the final. What do you believe, Simon, has been the main reason behind KKR's march and improvements in their performances?
So before going into who has been the impact staff and players for us, I would like to take you across a journey of 14 years. And across 14 years, this is the first time a KKR side has been made of youngsters. Like, it's the youngsters that has been carrying the team. The Tripatis, the Iyers, the Gills, Rana, and just one veteran working for you. That's Nareen, right? And the two KKR championship sides were all well-rounded. It had a solid lineup, strong, and it was mainly their veterans and the senior players were contributing. This side is a much more fragile side with the biggest star sidelined with injury and their international batsmen woefully out of form. A side where young cricketers on the fringes of national selection are playing their heart out to take the team over the line, right? So I believe if you see the first phase of the tournament and the second phase, you can see a huge, distinct, difference. The first difference is Gill playing with intent, right? That's the word that Macklem loves to use. And in the last interview before the COVID break happened, he said that if you can't change a man, change the man. He did that. He got in Venkatesh Iyer, and what a stellar performance he had. Like, bowling, batting, fielding, my goodness, that man has been stellar across.
9
Also,
matches, 320 runs, averaging 40, a strike rate of 125. Obviously, normally strike rate of 125 will be quite low, but these pitches that we've seen have led to some quite low scoring matches.
and he's the only player in this IPL to score across all three grounds in UAE, sorry, Dubai, Sharjah, and Abu Dhabi. So yeah, it's been the young core, the Shivam Mavi and Prasidh Krishna and Nareen. Lockie Ferguson also not that experienced in the IPL circuit, I would say. So it's
But he's
been
been
them.
fantastic. He's been
Yeah,
fantastic, as he
they've
Lockie
been.
Ferguson.
So you can see it's the Baz effect, as I call it. If not for Baz McCallum and to some extent Morgan, who also follows the same school of ideology, I do not think KKR could ever make this turnaround under any other coach, right? So yeah, that's my thought on it. Those two are the impact man, and the impact players have obviously been Venkatesh Iyer for me, Rahul Tripathi, Shubman Gill. Another thing with Shubman Gill is, if you see, when Venkatesh Iyer is not being able to attack the bowlers, he's the one attacking. If you see for second qualifier, he made 18 balls, 29 runs. And on the other side, Venkatesh Iyer was playing around 38 balls, 35, something like that. And in the previous match, we see Shubman Gill making a 46 or 46, while Venkatesh Iyer attacking. So that combination has been fantastic.
And obviously, you mentioned before as well about team selection. The omission of Andre Russell, Jay Russ, this Hercules of the IPL of so many seasons for KKR. Do you think that's also contributed as well to show that obviously no one's maybe get the other players on their toes to feel like, well, Jay Ross can be dropped. No one's infallible here. No one's got a safe position.
True, no, but the thing with Dwyer is, of course, he injured his hamstring, right? So it was not that he was dropped, but he was injured. But yeah, us also saying that the top order must have noticed that their middle order is very fragile with TK out of form, Morgan out of form. Shakib is not that power hitter that we need. Nadine, maybe he can click in one or two matches, not more than that. So they have been scoring bulk of the runs. And if you have seen, like in Sharjah, we put up a 170 score, right? That we easily defended. So yeah, that's about it. It's the young lads.
Excellent. Okay, fantastic. Very delighted to see Aditya Meta in front of my screen. Good to see him back on the channel. Give us a nice balance to see the KKA bias that I'm sure we'll experience next 45 minutes. That's I was really keen to get a little person down. Only jokes on the side. I know Sign it does love. He's all around a cricket lover ultimately, as much as he's a KKA fan. Aditya, you're on mute by the way. I'm not sure if you're aware, but yeah, we got Aditya Meta back on the show. He was busy filming something for CFN, Cricket Masters magazine. But yeah, good to see him here. Aditya, we're just discussing before you came on about KKA's resurgence, and Science took us down quite a nostalgic trip the last 14 years and explaining obviously what the differences between maybe then and now. Obviously, we've got repeats 2012 final, don't we, from 9 years ago, where I believe from memory, Kolkata knocks the runs off for a loss of 3 wickets. Was it 190 odd in that final? But I'll speak to you here, DT, about CSK. Obviously, I know your man Fatih Pasi, top of the order there, CSK stalwart. We'll talk a little bit of him a bit later, actually, in his future in the yellow jersey. But for now, obviously, I was get your opinion really DT, on CSK. I mentioned before how KKR have been so good since resumption of the IPL, and what the reasons behind that. Obviously, Science mentioned that the place top of the order with Gill and Ayer, Bas McCullum, the heart of things. There was a little bit of a credit. I did see a sneak of respect for Owen Morgan there. I did see just a smidgen of credit down to Morgan as well for KKR doing so well. CSK, however, are just been consistent throughout the tournament. I don't believe they've been out of the top four for any real length of time. They haven't been, I know, during the whole tournament. They resumed the tournament in second place from memory when it came back. So what do you think is the reason why, Aditya, there's not really been a lull in form? There's not really been that kind of, bad patch throughout the tournament. What is it down to? Is it down to simply the guys, obviously, they know the Dad's Army, with Bravo, obviously Dhoni, Jadeja, Fatih Pasi, etc. These guys just know their role so intimately that they can just turn up most games and just perform to their ability. Obviously, psychologically, they're very much solid in their thinking and the approach to the game. What's the reason behind their solid consistency throughout these 14 games so far? Or 16, yeah.
No, it's a massive conversation, but I think it all boils down to very effective man management. The Chennai Super Kings camp is a happy camp, and from the last season, which was an aberration because I think 10 members of the CSK camp had COVID, and they couldn't train until 3 weeks after they started. Things like that. So I think things really went wrong from there, and they couldn't really recover. But what really stands out in the CSK setup is that they're willing to nurture players, they're willing to invest in players, and it pays off richly. You look at all the names that you mentioned there, but you look at Ruturaj Gaikwad, right? I think that's all down to MS Dhoni, Stephen Fleming, and CSK's scouting infrastructure. Because in the last couple of years, the names that were the big names that were popping up in the media with respect to domestic cricket, Devdutt Padikkal, Priyank Panchal, Priyam Garg, Abhimanyu Ishwaran, Ruturaj Gaikwad had he'd flown under the radar, but he was still an integral part of the India A squad. But CSK had faith in him, and they ensured that they trained him for a season, they worked with him, they worked on his game, and eventually when the opportunity came, he performed for them. So I think CSK is great at that. Mumbai is great at that. To a certain extent, KKR has done that, and that is why they've been as successful as they have been. Additionally, I think they're very quick to adapt. You don't see a lot of ego in the way that CSK approach their games. Because they've probably been one of the most successful franchises for 13 odd years, and they had a specific style of play that suited their home wickets in Chennai, but they also found a way to win away from home as well. But post 2020, they realized that they needed to move with the times and adopt a dramatically different style of play, which they were very happy to do. Oftentimes that transition takes significantly longer because people may not want to make such drastic changes. But CSK was happy to do that. They moved with times and they gave absolute freedom to virtually all the players in their team, and they've responded and how.
I mean, Gaikwad says 15 matches, 603 runs, averaging 46 on a strike rate to 137. Absolutely phenomenal return for Chennai Super Kings there. Wonderful to see Krishna Kalki join the show. We're seeing that the sea yellow on the left-hand side of the screen there. So I'm about to get the popcorn, guys. Things are now going to heat up. I actually had to tell Sion before we started to get the shirt on because he wasn't busting the colours out there. But now we can really get into it. Krishna, how you doing, man? You right?
Yes, I am fantastic. I'm doing all right, and I'm glad. I'm just very happy that it's me versus Sion in the final. I don't know what it is, but I just really enjoy the fact that it's me versus Sion. I don't know who's gonna win, but I'm just happy that both of us made it here.
No, I think it's fantastic. That the guys always come on the show. Obviously, you guys can test in the final tomorrow. I think it's fantastic, really. So yeah, just before you came on, Krishna, Simon was giving his opinion on the resurgence of KKR and why they've done so well since resumption. Obviously, DT given an excellent analysis into his background of Chennai and why Chennai have been so consistent throughout the whole tournament. So you haven't really dropped off. Am I right in saying they've never dropped out the top four? Is that incorrect? They've literally been in the top four the whole way. Because I feel like Chennai had a lot of question marks over them coming into this tournament. Maybe was Bravo done? Was Dhoni done?
All right.
Obviously Dad's Army tag's always been labelled.
You got one of the answers.
Oh, sorry?
You got one of the answers out of those two questions.
Already, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I still feel like the other people obviously chipped in. Jadeja obviously there as well. Wasn't this a step too far? But CSK consistently, come to the party, don't they? When it comes to the IPL. Christian, just before we move on, I'd like to get your opinion as well. What are your thoughts really on the setup at CSK? Aditya's talked about how tight knit they were. The only time I've seen kind of dissension in the ranks was Rayner's fallout before the tournament started a few months ago. Apart from that, I completely agree with Aditya. They see because they play with each other so long, these guys, the core group. Is that one of the reasons why this usually say familiarity breeds contempt, but I would say it's the complete opposite when it comes to the yellow jersey. What's your opinion, Christian? Why have CSK done so well in this competition?
Firstly, I think the fact that they didn't let last season phase them in terms of like most teams would have probably like cleared out the deck and gone for a completely new team, or they would have probably just gotten rid of the core because it wasn't working last season. It just wasn't working with Kedar Jadhav, with Piyush Chawla, a bunch of players in there that they'd identified and they realized, okay, this is not working. But they still had, I'd say, the gumption to retain your Suresh Rainas, your Rayudus, your
Raidu, another guy. How old? He's 35, isn't he? Another guy.
Right. Yeah. And I think, here's the thing, right? With CSK, it's always it's been a sort of, they don't really like to think too much about these sort of things. They don't like to have too many big conversations. There's no real big speeches in the dressing rooms. It's always very low key, and it's always, okay, here's what we're doing and this is how we're going to do it. They sort of trust the mantle on MS Dhoni, of course, who's basically the pillar of this franchise. But the point is, even when things weren't looking good and all the reasons in the world were there to clear out the deck and make massive changes, they still stuck to to what they believe in, right? And that, I think, is what makes you a solid franchise. Like, even if you look at a Mumbai Indians, right? I mean, every odd year they come fifth, right? But they still stick with their main core. They still they haven't made too many changes in the last 6-7 years, barring a couple here and there, because of player retirements or injuries or whatever. So similarly, I think CSK also believe in not making too many changes and just bringing players and identifying the areas of weakness and just trying to fill those gaps, and rather than clearing out the deck. If you look at teams like Punjab, teams like Bangalore, these teams have not enjoyed as much success. The reason these guys are not as enjoyed as much success is because they keep making these massive changes every year, hoping things will be different or whatever. But it just doesn't work like that. You have to, at some level, you need to like sort of trust that the purchases you made at some point are gonna come off for you, right? And yeah, it's just an insane amount. It requires a lot of belief and a lot of faith. And I mean, there's very, very few people in the world who have that kind of belief, and Dhoni is one of them.
But just to add to that, I think it's this willingness. You mentioned Mumbai and Chennai. Both of those teams are willing to nurture players. They're willing to provide platforms, avenues for players to grow. That's why you look at the vast majority of players in the Indian team. They are from Mumbai and Chennai. How many players, you look at RCB, for example, how many players can we say that RCB has actually nurtured, that they have ensured that a certain player has become a better player as a result of that player being a part of RCB? I can only think of Chahal and to a certain degree Mohammad Siraj. Even Virat Kohli, he made his debut a month after the first IPL, which was a disaster for him. So can we really say that about Punjab or Hyderabad or any of the other teams? I don't think we can.
Releases all the young players whenever they appreciate or something.
Exactly, and the Sunrisers Hyderabad, they've nurtured Rashid Khan, which is great. But apart from Mumbai and Chennai, I don't think there are too many franchises that have been willing to nurture players, grow players to ensure that they become formidable forces.
I mean, this sounds to me very much like professional sport. Any team sport is that you're chasing, obviously, success. So if it doesn't work, because there's so much on the line now, financially, if anything else, you chop and change consistently. Where I think, obviously, Mumbai and Chennai experienced early success. They had a nucleus of players, along with KKR, a nucleus of players, and they've just made tweaks. They have been more patient, definitely, but because they found a winning formula earlier, you could say, where Punjab never found that, RCB never found that. So constant, and also I think the way the management is structured and how the philosophy there is just constantly just chop and change every season. It reminds you of football, So, but sorry, Simon, you want to talk?
Oh no, Krishna, do you want to go first?
Oh yeah.
No, you can go first, man. I'll go after you.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, you got to back your players, your young players mainly. Like, if you go back to the 2018 auctions, we got the 319 guys, right? And 2 of them didn't play for us for 2 seasons at the least, Shivam Mavi and Kamlesh Nagarkoti. Still, we back them, and look where Mavi is right now. Gill also hasn't been good for 1 season only. The second half of the season, he's been brilliant. Yeah. Look at Varun Chakravarti. Look at Andre Russell. We backed him when he was banned throughout the cricket world. We were the only one who backed him.
It feels like obviously the break was really well timed for Kolkata. Obviously they had time to plan, assess a strategy, and then kick on from there. It reminds me when Jurgen Klopp was manager of Dortmund in 2015, 2014, 13, 14. They were bottom of the league come December. There was winter break in the Bundesliga, right? So they ended up finished 7th. And he said he was so happy that they were there because he had 2 weeks to literally sit down, analyse what was going wrong. Because the problem is game after game after game, you got very little time to make proper changes. It's just maybe your player change, but in terms of training, strategy, people around you, the mentality, you have time to implement the changes with the, what was it, 3 months, 4 months break, wasn't it, pretty much? So obviously it helped Qatar a lot. But that being said, CSK still ended up reaching the final, and they were second going into resumption. They could have easily dropped off because the break for them wasn't a good timing. You could argue, but it didn't really matter, which is what's so impressive about CSK. Which what makes this final so fascinating, really, because the crest of the wave you imagine is with Kolkata. You would imagine going into tomorrow's final, but I think CSK just they're cool as a cucumber as far as I'm concerned. They're like, we'll just rock up. We know what we're doing. We've got our strategy in place. We're not going to be ruffled. What can you guys tell me? What was the head-to-head record in the group stage between the two sides?
It's 2-0.
2-0 to CSK.
Yeah, so that we could be hatched tomorrow, but anyway. Okay, I'm going to go down to the weaknesses of the respective sides. So I want to start with the CSK weaknesses. So I'm going to start with Sign for this. So your batsman column, dare I say, Rory Morgan. Don't crucify me for saying that. Where do you see CSK's weaknesses, Sion, and how do you exploit them tomorrow?
Okay, so the first weakness that I've noticed is for Ruturaj Gaikwad, and it's the short ball. It's a high-pace short ball towards his body, right?
So Lockie's just been given the instructions.
Yeah, that's Lockie. That's Lockie's job tomorrow. So just get Ruturaj out, because I'm not scared of Faf that much, right? I'm scared of Ruturaj. I'm scared of Jadeja. I don't find any weakness for Jadeja. He just smacks our bowler. He has been smacking our bowlers from 2013, so he's another thing. Dhoni, Nareen's there for him, or Varun. Raidu, shit against spin again. Who's there? Robin Uthappa. Yeah, that guy has. He's in the mood for revenge tomorrow, I guess, after how Kolkata left him, right? And the bowling is their main weakness, because I don't think they have any pacers who bowls above 140, which is the main weakness of Kolkata, right, Krishna?
I mean, go on.
And their spinners are not elite at all.
Mm.
So yeah, those are the only weaknesses.
And I'll go over to Aditya. Actually, no, let me go to Krishna first. Then I go to Aditya as a neutral. So the flip question to you then, Krishna. So you're obviously CSK, you're analysing Kolkata, you're Fleming and Dhoni. What would you do to exploit KKR's perceived weaknesses? If you find any?
Man, I really wish I was Fleming and Dhoni, man. But no, I think with KKR, I feel like all their weaknesses just came to the fray in that bizarre collapse against Delhi in the qualifier. Morgan is completely out of runs. Shakib. I mean, the way he got out also was questionable. And like they just haven't gotten runs from below like number 4, right? So if we can find a way to break into those bottom 4 batsmen, I think we have a shot at just like keeping them quiet. And I think their bowling also, I think we can probably maybe Shivam Mavi seems like the weaker link of the bowlers there. So maybe we can try and exploit that. Maybe Shakib. Also, they haven't played in Dubai, right? I mean, they played their playoff. I know, but they played their playoff games. They've come off this. I mean, not that they haven't played in Dubai, but their massive wins have come, or their recent wins have come in Sharjah. So now coming back to Dubai, are the tracks gonna play well for KKR? Because I think if it's a 170, 180 kind of game, we can defeat KKR. But if it's a 130, 140 kind of game, I think KKR is a little better off there. So yeah, I think with respect to KKR, there are some weaknesses. We'll just have to see how we exploit them. But yeah, we can exploit them for sure.
I think you can look at, you mentioned about Gaikwad being this, get him out, and then we can run through the middle order. I think you'll see him with Venkatesh Iyer as well a little bit. I think he's a key wicket for them. It's such a high right now. Everyone's hot on Venkatesh Iyer. If you remove him early, you can then get into the fact of Tripathi and Rana, etc. Still what's they be, but I think this, as they showed against Delhi, there's a fragile middle order because Morgan is in such woeful form. I mean, it's abysmal how he's playing at the moment. That he's ultimately the glue in that middle order, you would say, for his position. But if he's getting out there, it can, as we saw, there is a fragility, I think, a possibly slight underbelly in that middle order. But anyway,
Mm.
Aditya, I'm going to go to you and Arshad, both sides. In your opinion, what are the weaknesses? I'll start with KKR, and then we'll go to Chennai.
I think with KKR, as Krishna and Zan said, I think the middle order is a weakness, and I think under pressure they can be tested. So we saw what happened against Delhi. There was no real reason for them to play the way they did, because they were cruising. And somewhere I feel like players are unable to handle the pressure of finishing a game. So to me, that's a significant problem with KKR. The other thing is they've been heavily reliant on Sunil Narayan and Varun Chakravarti, who've produced outstanding results in Sharjah. But will they be as potent tomorrow is another question, because I think the Sharjah pitch suited that style of bowling. Whether or not that will be the case tomorrow is a bit of a question mark. So that to me is where I find KKR to be weak. But then again, they're a confident team now. They've won 7 of the last 9 games, so they're confident, and that will serve them well.
Do you see, Aditya, this game as Kolkata's bowling versus Chennai's batting?
No, I don't. Look,
What
I think
would you s-
what KKR is that team that has decent batting and decent bowling, and both have clicked. I don't think we can say that any of the two departments have produced outstanding performances, but together they've put in some great work. Like Shubman Gill, for example, I think he's still a T20 player in the works. He's a big name player, but my view is that Ruturaj Gaikwad has leapfrogged all of these upcoming domestic players. I think Ruturaj Gaikwad is a better bet than Prithvi Shaw, Devdutt Padikkal, and Shubman Gill.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And when it comes to CSK, Aditya, what do you see their weaknesses? Could they run out of steam tomorrow? Basically, do you feel like there's one? And also, I'd like to talk. Well, actually, I'll get to the next point. Just for that for now. Where do you see the perceived weaknesses of CSK?
With CSK, I think CSK will struggle if they bat first and there's due an offer in the second innings, because their bowling attack is a bit one-dimensional. And like we saw in that game against Rajasthan absolutely smoked the living daylights out of CSK. That's a challenge, because they seemed to have one mode of attack. And if that same thing happens tomorrow and CSK bat first and they don't produce enough runs, then that could be a bit of a problem. But that to me is the only weak link that I see in the CSK line.
You think they need Hazelwood to fire tomorrow?
They do need Hazelwood to fire, but they need him to fire in every game. They've needed him to fire in every game. And
I feel there's a lot of undue pressure on Hazelwood up top, because Sam Curran's not had a good tournament. I'm not sure he's going to play tomorrow. Obviously, he's injured now, as he not going to play. But even Moeen's okay with the ball, actually. I've been watching, obviously. He's obviously got a fairly important role there, batting at 4 and then, bowling as well. But yeah, I do want to bat Hazelwood, maybe the pressure. Because we've not seen much from Ngidi, have we? So,
yeah. So again, I think Hazelwood is a more reliable option than Lungi Ngidi. But, I think at an individual level and at a team level, the move to Dubai, to the UAE for the second leg of the IPL has had ramifications in different ways for different players individually and different franchises. So there are certain franchises that are doing great, in the first leg of the IPL, but then sort of struggled in the second leg. And then there are others like KKR, for example, that really struggled in the first leg of the IPL, but somehow seemed to have the right players that to fire for them in this leg of the IPL. So I think Chennai has been that one thing that's been constant, because their performances have been consistently good through both legs of the IPL. I would just hope that they're not one-dimensional tomorrow, and they sort of identify conditions well, which they generally have been, to their credit.
Thank you, DT. Let's go to Krishna. Maybe Hamdi wants to say something. So
Yeah, no, so I just had a thought yesterday, I was thinking, what is it that, how important are tactics and experience in these playoff, knockout, final, whatever you want to call it, games, right? I look at KKR, right? I look at Gill, Tripathi, Venkatesh Iyer, and Rana, the top four, right? This is the first IPL final for most of them. I don't know I think this is probably Nitish Rana's second IPL final. But
Tripathi
definitely
second.
Tripathi second, right? But I mean, obviously that was with a different team, right? And this is their first IPL final in KKR colors, and that is, I mean, that is the I don't know exactly how much of a I don't know whether that's a bad thing or a good thing, but if you look at historically the IPL final, right? It's been a case of who has better tactics on the day and who has better choices and decisions on the day. You need to back at some level. You need to back your players to come good, but also who to back is also very, very important. So I don't know if and CSK, of course, you have Faf, who's been a part of many IPL finals before. You have guys like Uthappa, who's played an IPL final before. Guys like Rayudu, Dhoni, of course, himself has been a part of about 10 IPL finals now, which is it's insane how many IPL finals he's made. So, and how much experience on the big stage in this kind of pressure situation, I think counts for something. How much it counts for, I don't know, but definitely it definitely will matter.
I think it's an excellent point that Chris has made. I think key moments tomorrow, there'll be crucial. There'll be moments there where people need to start to be counted, and I think people who have been there and done that. Because my thinking is that CSK could old man KKR tomorrow.
Can I just put in one?
But
point?
I know Sai probably disagrees with that. But so go ahead, mate.
Yeah. So KKR have been playing the last 9 matches as it's like their final match, right?
That's also bad, yeah.
They are handling the pressure well.
No, but I think league stage versus playoff are completely. I mean, final are completely different.
No, but even you see from our perspective, if we would have lost even one more match, we wouldn't have played.
That is there, but I mean, you didn't have a trophy on the line. Here, there's a trophy. Like, you're literally staring the trophy in the eye, right? So it's not. I don't think it's the same thing.
Hey, that's what we have Morgan for.
Been there, done it, Annie. Been there, done it. Speaking of Morgan, actually, I guess my next point. They've been largely innocuous, Dhoni and Morgan, during this tournament, especially when Morgan, we've cited before, he's been pretty damn pathetic with the bat in hand. Obviously, Dhoni still keeps wicket. He has obviously a lot of purpose in there. Still, he was not batting. Do you really feel like maybe the side has shown how complete they are and they're greater than some of their parts? The fact that the captains have not performed in their primary roles, obviously in Dhoni's case, or because we know that Morgan's received a lot of slack online, in particular. I don't look too far. I've got my phone and check Sign's recent comments to see how people are thinking about it. But in particular, Morgan's received a lot of stick, for his lack of performances. But are we being a bit harsh? Do you feel that these two maybe deserve a bit more respect for their role and their influence during the competition? In particular, Morgan's case. I'm going to go to Simon first because I know he's probably going to go at me hard. So I'll start with Aditya in this instance. Just at your thoughts really on Eoin Morgan in particular, but both captains, I'd say, and their kind of influence on the team in this competition.
With Morgan, he's obviously a great captain who's cemented his reputation as a World Cup winning captain for England. I'm normally reluctant for overseas players to be captains of IPL teams for a variety of reasons, but we don't need to go into that. Either way, I think some credit has to be given to Morgan for KKR's resurgence in the second leg of this IPL. I still feel like Morgan is not great tactically as an IPL captain. He's far better tactically when he's captain of England.
What does that mean, because it's a T20 game ultimately, isn't it? What are we saying? The lack of knowledge of his fellow players, particularly the Indian players?
Possibly, and how to sort of maneuver, how to maneuver bowlers, bowling options. Get a sense of the conditions. The example I'm about to use doesn't directly involve Morgan, but you look at Kieron Pollard for Mumbai, for example. That first game, he captained against the Chennai Super Kings. I think Chennai were 24 for 4 at the end of the power play, and the seamers had wreaked havoc. Adam Milne and Trent Bolt had literally torn through the Chennai Super Kings top order. But then instead of continuing with them post power play, he turned to spinners, which I thought was shocking for an individual who's captain of other franchises in the CPL and has played hundreds and hundreds of T20 games. So I feel like I haven't seen anything spectacular from Morgan that would convince me that he's been great tactically. So yeah, I feel like there he's definitely far behind MS Dhoni. I think MS Dhoni just has an understanding of T20 cricket that no other captain in the IPL has.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to you, side, dare I say, now. So this is the floor is yours now, man. You want to wax the come at me and bite my head off, cool, man. But listen, tell me what your thoughts are. Okay, let's say Morgan didn't play. Let's say you relinquish the reins, give it back to Dinesh Karthik. Are you telling me that KKR will be in exactly the same position as they are now?
That is the problem. KKR wouldn't be in the same position without Morgan, but he's been horse rubbish throughout the season. Right. We've been playing with 10 players and we got into the final. Can you believe that? He's the only man who has 3 ducks against Delhi Capitals. I mean, come on, bro. And on top of that, how many single digit goals does he have? I guess except for one innings in the second half, all other are single digits. My goodness, that's like utter shit. I mean, if at this point you would tell me that he would become the coach of KKR, I would happily agree to that and get in Russell tomorrow. I mean, like, Morgan's shit. I can't use the words, but he's proper shit.
Do you not rate him as like Aditi said? Maybe does he lack experience and ability as an IPL captain? Do you feel?
See, it's not about being a captain. We bought him for 5.25 crores, right? We didn't buy him for captaining. We bought him for, solidifying our middle order. He hasn't been doing that. That is his primary job, to be honest. Batting is his primary job. Scored at least 10 runs of 5 balls. At least. I want nothing else. Just 10 to 15 runs. He hasn't been doing that also. But
I mean, he's been a horrible form the entire year for England included. And we know that.
No, he did play well in the Pakistan series, right?
He made it. Yeah, I think he made it 50 in that series. But overall, his performance in Shia last 12 months of T20 cricket has been very bad. But he got obviously they continued with obviously last season, wasn't it, where DK handed the reins over to Morgan, and they continue with that. I feel like he got that credit in the bank for the World Cup win, which I think is fast quickly running out. But anyway, is there anything more you want to say on Morgan before I go over to Krishna?
Nothing is shit. That's it.
It's the easiest stuff. Krishna, obviously MSD, just it's synonymous with TSK, isn't it? Really, he's obviously not been as bad with the bat as Morgan, but it doesn't really matter. Is he just in a position where his credit with the franchise and his status, he could go on even a worse run? It wouldn't matter, because do you feel he contributes a lot in the field? I mean, it sounds to me like Simon feels like Morgan's not even captaining that well on the field. What's your opinion on MSD? I mean, I titled this video, as you know, Dhoni's last hurrah. I feel like this is Dhoni's last kind of season in the playing colours. Yeah, most likely. And I feel like maybe will there be some some emotion tomorrow. Maybe they'll do it for Dhoni, etc. Possibly things like that. You might see the last time we see Dwayne Bravo, Raidu. Who knows? But what's your thoughts really on Dhoni's captain? If he was going to carry through the season, would you want to stay on as captain, or do you feel maybe that it's taken its course now, and that maybe he's kind of out of his depth as a player now?
I think actually I had the discussion. There was a very interesting discussion or a post on the cricket the corridor uncertainty group about Dhoni's tenure as a captain and what is the future for Dhoni at CSK. Um, I personally think after the 2020 season, I thought it was time to start having the conversation about looking to the future and thinking about a new captain, or maybe at least maybe envisioning a different role for Dhoni, and maybe grooming somebody to take over that role. Um, so if CSK were to win tomorrow, I think there's no better way than for Dhoni to say, hey, listen, I won an IPL trophy. I've given you guys 4 trophies. I think it's time for me to, probably see myself in a mentor role now, and probably hand over the captaincy to whoever wants to take in the existing group of players, or somebody they buy at the mega auction next season. I just think that Dhoni. I don't think it's, even though Dhoni may have another season in him, I just think it's a better option for the franchise, because it's when you think about a mega auction, you're thinking about 3-4 years down the line, right? And Dhoni's not going to be playing 3-4 years down the line. He's somebody who's, has maybe one season at best in him left. So I think it's a better option to just, if assuming, Dhoni's not, assuming we just say, listen, Dhoni, thank you so much, right? When it comes to the actual question, actually, which I think is a very interesting debate, is even if Dhoni is not giving you runs, is it okay to keep? Is it okay to? Should we give him so much criticism for not giving you runs? Should we give him criticism? Like, are we? How important is he to the team? How much is his value to the team? Is a very interesting question to answer, because if I'm not wrong, in 2019, the 2019 World Cup, Mashrafe Mortaza was the captain of Bangladesh, and he was playing this role where he was bowling like maybe 3-4 overs, right? And he wasn't really giving you much with the bat. He was batting at 8-9 or something, right? And his role was basically just to give you those 3-4 overs, and complete a sixth bowler's quota, right? But he was playing at number 8, which is basically the spot in the team that ideally should give you 10 overs. But Shakib was giving you many overs. So Mashrafe Mortaza didn't need to give you that many overs, right? And even Mashrafe Mortaza at the time was not really bowling all that well. But he was still there in the team because his captaincy added value. At least Bangladesh, the management felt that his captaincy added value. Similarly here, I think with CSK, his captaincy definitely adds value, because it's not just about, okay, I'm keeping behind the stumps. It's not just I'm a man for the role. It's not just, I'm making the decisions. It's the entire vision, the entire brand, the entire thought process of, CSK has been Dhoni for all this while now. So if you take Dhoni out, it's like you're taking all 4 wheels out of a car, right? It just doesn't really make sense without Dhoni there, behind the stumps, and sort of making these calls of who to bowl, when to bowl. And really just having him on the field is such a huge asset. It's invaluable. The calmness he brings, and I always believe that the team's attitude in any situation on the field is exemplified by how their captain reacts to it. If the captain is calm, the team is calm. If the captain is tense, if the captain is frustrated, if the captain is not sure what to do, then the team itself is not sure what to do, because the tactics, the decisions, those are very important in these crucial knockout playoff situations. So having Dhoni just there to make those decisions on the field is very, very, very important, even if he's not giving you runs. And the entire conversation about is Dhoni is Dhoni a good captain? Should Dhoni be there? Has stemmed from his lack of batting, I guess, form in this entire, over the last 2 seasons. And I guess it's unfair of us to expect him to finish games like he used to back in the day. because his body is just not. Even though his mind may ask him to do it, his body is just not able to do it. Right.
His reaction time has gone. You can see that when he's batting
Yeah.
now. He's
Right,
40
right.
years old. You can tell when it's just not the same.
Right.
He's also lost half a yard of pace between them. He's always so fast, and he
Mhm.
seems quite lean still. But I don't think he's as fast between the wickets anymore as he used to be. I used to be lightning quick.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, exactly. The we don't have the Dhoni of today is not obviously not the Dhoni of of 2015 or 16, right? But the very fact is, I think we should accept. I think the thing is we need to accept that this is the role, and that's why CSK has also sort of played this very extended batting lineup with playing Dwayne Bravo at 8 and Chahar and Thakur and all these guys at 9 and 10, right? Is the fact that okay, even if Dhoni has a bad day, we have people to finish the innings. That's why you see Jadeja now taking the responsibility. You see guys like Moeen coming to the party, Rayudu is coming to the party, right? So it's not necessary. We don't necessarily need Dhoni to finish the games for us anymore because we have guys who can do that now, right? We need Dhoni to basically make the calls, and I think that's okay. If that's the role, then we should accept it and say, here, this is the role, right? But I guess as fans, obviously we want to see Dhoni, hitting the last ball 6. We want to see Dhoni, playing those,
we want to see a
15 knocks.
2011 World Cup.
We
10
want to
years
see
on.
that. We want to see that, but
yeah.
we're not going to get there. It's unfortunate, but we're not going to get there. But that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I'm okay with it.
Fair enough. Okay. Okay, we're going to wrap up now, guys. I just want to get kind of comments on the competition as a whole. Just quickly go around and get our 3 heroes and 3 zeros for the competition. So I'll start with Sion, and you tell me could be anyone.
3 heroes.
Yeah.
Venkatesh Iyer, Ruturaj, and third one. Most people have been shit. Oh, Maxwell.
Yeah.
And zeros would be Owen Morgan. Owen Morgan, Rian Parag, absolute shit. And the third one would be Bhuvneshwar Kumar.
Oh.
Fourth one, can I add? Ashwin. Prick. Absolute prick.
Yeah, difficult time for him. Again. Aditya?
We're talking all teams, right?
All teams.
Okay.
All teams.
All teams, a hero and zero. Okay. I think heroes would be Ruturaj Gaikwad, Francois Duplessis, and Glenn Maxwell.
You can have one more hero because that's just a lie. You feel your teeth there, man. The second one, innit? So give us a proper one, man. Give us another hero in it.
Okay. I think I'm going to say Harshal Patel.
Yes. Yeah, good shot, man.
Very good.
And your zeros?
Zeros. Okay. The Sunrisers Hyderabad management.
Good, fair call.
The Rajasthan Royals management. Because they're writing books and telling us how to run T20 franchises. They can't run one themselves. And I'd say the RCB management.
Oh, come on. Where's the Irish guy?
No mention of Morgan in, man.
Yeah, that's
So 3 managements.
what
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So RCB, Sunrisers, and Rajasthan's managements. Okay.
I mean, I would say Punjab also, but then only 3. So
That's half of the teams, man. Basically the teams. Half of the sides. You didn't make it. I mean, what's your thing with RCB? Why RCB?
Chokers, mate. Chokers.
the management?
Yeah, I mean they made a lot of Final Four.
No, I mean look, I think over a period of time you have to have some sort of consistency. You have some sort of template as to how you want to play your cricket, what sort of team composition you need to succeed and things like that. I mean, they got you look at the first leg of the IPL and the second leg of the IPL. I think one team that suffered significantly has been RCB because they haven't been able to utilize AB de Villiers. AB de Villiers coming in at 5 worked in India, in part because Virat Kohli or Devdutt Padikkal weren't making runs. But in this case, for the most part, both Devdutt Padikkal and Virat Kohli were making runs at a slow pace. And by the time AB de Villiers came in the 17th over, there was too much for him to do and too little time for him to do anything. So if you look at the brains trust in RCB, they've got Mike Hesson, they've got Sanjay Bangar, they've got Adam
Kantich.
Griffith, Virat Kohli. Obviously, not Kantich anymore. Kantich resigned as coach. They've got some heavyweights in cricket, and the average Joe could tell you that AB de Villiers is batting too low, and we got nothing out of him in the second leg of the IPL. So I feel like that's one of many blunders they made, and it's been going on for too long. This chopping and changing. Carl Jameson is a hero in the first half of the IPL. In the second half, he can barely get a game.
I can't believe Dan Christian got so much game time. I feel
also
like
the
this,
thing with,
that was a joke.
RC
Is that Kohli or what the hell's got was with that Dan Christian, man?
I feel also the thing with RCB is their foreign picks and also to some extent Indian picks are always based on high players.
Yeah.
Talk about Maxwell, talk about Daniel Christian because
Finn
he won
Allen.
Finn Allen. I think Daniel Christian won the BBL with Sydney Sixers, if I'm not wrong.
He did, yeah, he did.
Then Tim David won into Hasaranga. Chamira, be it Mohammad Azharuddin, they didn't even utilize him properly. So it's always
But that's my problem with RCB, right? They get all these big name players, and their marketing department is just delighted. But the team doesn't work like that. Like I said earlier, they're not willing to nurture players. How many players have we seen actually become better at RCB? None. I can't think of anyone except for Chahal and to a certain degree Siraj, who actually gotten better playing for RCB. Otherwise, over 14 years, can we say that for too many players? We can't. And so that's a problem with RCB, is that they want these finished products to be a part of their team so that they can then win the IPL. But they're not willing to invest and nurture players like CSK or Mumbai are. And that's fundamentally where RCB's downfall lies as a franchise. And then, again, when I see Virat Kohli, they lose a game. And I love Kohli, but I don't understand his communication. He keeps saying, I think we lost today because our bowlers didn't make brave choices. What does that mean? What on earth does that mean? Or if the opposition has chased a high total like a 150 or 160 or something, and then he'll blame the batsman, say our batters didn't show enough intent. Can you define intent? Can you define bravery? Because if the average viewer doesn't understand it, I don't know how the team's going to understand it. And I've never heard those words in 14 years. I've never heard Dhoni use those words. I've never seen Gautam Gambhir use those words, or Rohit Sharma for that matter.
Does Virat Kohli definitely remain RCB next season?
Because of his brand value, yes. But
yeah,
to be honest, you guys might hate me, but he cannot rotate strike outside the power play, and he's shit against spin, man.
But that's a recent problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Strike outside the power play is a recent problem, and even the fact that he's struggling against wrist spin is a recent problem. Because if you saw his technique against England, Sunil Gavaskar did a brilliant job of dissecting it. Where he's overcompensating with his trigger movement, and his head is falling over. But hopefully he'll have time post the World Cup to really rectify that, because that might cost him in South Africa.
Muti Krisha. So heroes and zeros, please.
Heroes. Anybody who doesn't have Harshal Patel on the list, honestly, like Harshal Patel has lit this IPL on fire. Like he's been the best, probably the best player of the tournament for me. Harshal Patel, Ruturaj Gaikwad, and this is the third one's a tough one. I think I'm gonna go Venkatesh Iyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he really has made a name for himself.
Yeah.
It's an incredible story, that is.
Yeah.
I have to say so. And zeros?
Zeros for me, I think first name that comes to my mind is Ricky Ponting. And honestly, the blunders in the playoffs, just the not bowling Rabada, sending Stoinis up the order. Yeah, so Ricky Ponting for me.
Was it his fault that Rabada didn't bowl though ahead of Tom Curran?
He's the one
No, I
that
mean that
controls.
was Rishabh Pant's fault, but still,
Well,
I
like
mean, I felt
Ponting blamed it on Pant, right? We don't know what happened behind the scenes, right?
yeah, obviously, but I think whatever. There's a lack of communication there, and I think Ponting is trying really hard to, he's trying really hard to make it about him, or make it about him when it's favorable for him, and not make it about him when it's not favorable for him. So
That's very
it's all
cowardly, isn't it? Cowardly
Aussies.
approach, really.
yeah. Zeros, right? Rohit Sharma for me, I think this season, absolute zero. And Punjab's management for me. Yeah,
Interesting. Okay, management seems to be called that quite a bit. I guess K. Rahul's come out and said he's leaving the franchise, isn't he? He's
He's coming to this performance.
hopefully he comes back to SRH and we need him. Give him what he wants, man.
God.
Give him what he
Please,
wants.
Moody will finish it. No way. Come to bat.
Yeah. I was having this thought about just managements in general, right? And like, it's such a weird thing with Punjab, and like KL Rahul is consuming. He's won 2 orange caps in the last 4 years now. In the last 2 seasons now, he's got 2 orange caps. But whatever, he's been in the list of top run getters for solid 4 seasons now, and Punjab has not made a playoff. He's been scoring all the runs in the world, right? But I mean, of course, his strike rates have been a little questionable at times. But this season, his strike rate was up there at 130, 140. When you shouldn't, I mean, when second half was played in UAE, right, where it was very tough to get a strike rate above 130, 140. But the very fact that KL Rahul is not confident in losing his wicket, or he's not confident in playing freely because he has to safeguard a weak middle order, you're already losing the game from there. You're already losing the games from there. Because how can a team have belief in itself, or how can a team have any sort of confidence when its own captain doesn't have confidence in the team? So I just find the whole Punjab think tank to be completely out of sorts.
The interesting thing about Punjab is that I was talking about the shift from the India leg to the UAE leg, and how certain teams benefited, certain teams suffered because of it. If you look individually, Punjab has had the most players do better in the second leg of the IPL compared to the first leg, individually. And how they just go about things is shocking. I think that last over that Tyagi bowled against Rajasthan Royals, where he defended 4 runs of the last 6 balls.
Yeah.
Aiden Markram was stranded at one end, Nicky Puran and Deepak Hooda lost their wickets. It was just shocking.
That was comedy. I turned it off. I told you guys. I couldn't believe it. I thought the game was over. What's the point even? And then one of you said that Punjab had lost. Just
shocking. And the fact that it happens so frequently with that franchise tells you something about something being seriously wrong there. And when you look at their performances individually, they've done well. They had middle over concerns. Aiden Markram did reasonably well. Deepak Hooda did reasonably well. So they've been okay. That Shah Rukh Khan has been good. The death bowling Bishnoi has been great. So their death bowling was a concern. They have a fantastic bowler in Arshdeep. Shami's been doing a good job. So you look individually, everyone's had decent seasons, but they can't seem to put it together. There's something here.
But the opposite of CSK, they play like a team of individuals rather than a team.
Exactly.
It seems that way, That's
I feel like Punjab is a poor man's RCB, to be honest, because they also pick all the high players. The second.
Yeah, Jai Richardson, Riley Meredith. They don't get Shaw
Nathan Ellis because of his hat trick in
Bangladesh.
Yeah, Moises Henry. I don't know why people pick him.
Like he did well last year with the Sixers. So.
I was just so when I saw the Indians that they retained last year, I thought they had a very solid Indian core, and I think everybody looked at Punjab saying, they have a very good core to work with, right? I think they retained like Mandeep Singh and they had Huda in there. They had a lot of these Indian players who had, sort of. And last season also they had this like brilliant run up until the last game in the playoffs, right, where they kind of lost it, but they were like in there, right, until the last like 2 games or something, right. Punjab had this brilliant run, and people are saying, okay, maybe Punjab might qualify, right. But then this season it's just not at all come together at any point of time. So I don't know. I just don't understand what Punjab have thought. And of course, now they're going to clear the deck because it's a mega auction. Like every year, they clear the deck. They have a huge purse and they spend it on
Again,
God
some
knows who.
BBL stars coming up.
Yeah, yeah.
I also don't think KL Rahul should be captain. I don't
No.
think it's his.
Not at, Rishabh Pant, KL should not be captains. No recency bias, but
And
then they can't handle
Virat
it.
Kohli either.
He's stepping in.
Yeah.
Well, so's KL, right? He's leading the franchise, so apparently.
Apparently,
he's coming in.
apparently.
Let's see. Yeah.
But he shouldn't be, because I think it's too much. I don't think he has it in him tactically, and I don't think he's able to stamp his authority on the team, because I don't know what the Punjab brand of cricket is.
Where's he from, KL?
Karnataka.
Bangalore.
Yeah, Bangalore.
Oh, okay. Right. All right, we wrap up there, guys. Just quickly, Chris Perry will say abstain, but I'll also get your predictions for tomorrow.
No predictions.
Okay, so DT, will you give me a prediction?
Chennai will win.
Krishna, you're abstaining.
Can't say anything.
What, Sai, nothing?
Nothing.
Are you guys nervous? Are you confident?
Pretty nervous. Because if you see like Chennai is a super team that's just like waiting to blast off KKR, and KKR they scrap their way through the final. So,
What's the plans for tomorrow? Very quickly, plans of both of you, because it's Friday night, isn't it? Friday, it's at 7.
yeah, plus it's a great
7:30.
festival for us Bengalis, so hoping for the best.
So it must be. So you starting early, eh? You're on the sauce early. That's what we down here. That's what I'm after here, man. 12 o'clock. Get on that early, bro. In the pub. In the pub at 12, mate.
The thing is, when it comes to IPL finals, right? So there have been, I think, 2 or 3 years where I've gone to a friend's house to watch the IPL final, and every time CSK has lost, that was when that has happened.
Can you go tomorrow too?
So
Yeah.
I have refrained from going to friends' houses. I've just sat at my home and very sadly sitting alone and watched it in my house. And when I started doing that, CSK, or at least the one time that I did that, CSK won in 2018. So
Stay at home tomorrow, then, man. Stay at home.
yeah, but in 2019 I did that and CSK lost. So
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know whether the superstition has any backing or has any like continuity to it. Maybe it's just my brain playing a trick on me. But, yeah, I don't know. But if CSK win tomorrow, I will definitely. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
But there's a bit of a superstition for me though. So
Well,
the last time KKR won a trophy, its owner had a bit of a controversy, right? And this year too, he has a bit of controversy. So I'm hoping for the best.
Aditi, I know you got a mad night planned today, I'm sure. Get the booze in, get the drugs in. Big one, innit? Big one for you, Aditi. big one talk for the final, innit, man. It's a big one.
It's got to be major rager.
It's a really bad time for it. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's pretty rubbish. I'm working tomorrow, so I'll have to watch on my phone or something, just like try and catch it. It's a bit annoying. I wish it was in the evening. I settle down and just watch it, man. But I'm not really. To be honest with you, I think Sign's going to be absolutely fucking unbearable if KKR win. So for that reason, I probably hope that CSK win.
Oh, come on. After 7 years, we would be winning. But I'd be happy with the second place also. Like, after such a comeback, I didn't expect them to. So,
I don't want to see Morgan win again, gloat and say,
come on.
Look at how great I am. Do you know what I mean? I've won the IPL, I've won the World Cup. Look at me. Do you know what I mean? That's what he'd like, innit? This little prick.
I feel
that's what he'd like, man. You know my thoughts on Morgan as well, man. I want him confident in the setup.
Yeah, if KKR wins, it will be a player you don't expect from, because it's been the same thing for the last 2 finals of KKR, and you know who I don't expect anything from.
Yeah, well, he just went for Morgan, obviously. I would like Dhoni to end his career in style. I'm not going to lie. As it's almost a bit of the romantic side of it, it just feels like it'd be quite nice to see him kind of bow out with a win, I have to say.
Well,
I feel like this is the end of an era for CSK. I think when he goes, DT's already said to me that he saw something. Faf is going to be leaving as well. I won't be surprised if Radu, Dwayne Bravo's leaving West Indies. This is last stint in the World Cup, right? He'd probably pack it in. He's 38. I think it's the end of an era. It'd be quite nice to round it off with a win for Dhoni. And I think KK are going to come again. I think with the youth in their side, they'll definitely come again. Most likely without Morgan, so even better. So anyway, I'll leave it there, guys. Just me signing off. But Sai Balanji, Bosho, at Jaffa Merge on Twitter, DTU Meta, CFM Cricket Fastest Magazine. Go catch him every day. Do wonderful stuff with Khalid Moeddin over there, covering all things South African cricket. Fantastic channel over there. Christian Kalki, I told you, as I always say, Bangles answer to Lionel Richie. Go catch him out. Catch him. Spotify, SoundCloud, Instagram. Very great performer. I've said quite a few of his things now on his stories and whatnot. Good content there. And yeah, this is me, obviously, Shay. Uneven Bounce, like content. Obviously, please subscribe. And that is a wrap, guys. So yeah, IPL Fire tomorrow. Looking forward to the aftermath. We'll be looking forward to the WhatsApp group tomorrow as well. I'm going to imagine there'll be hundreds of messages, especially if KKR are winning, especially because Sign's going to be busting his nut all over our group, I imagine. So that's me signing out. I'm done. Thanks so much, guys, for joining in again. You take care, and I will catch you guys very, very soon. Thanks again. Cheers, guys.
Subscribe to Uneven Bounce, guys. Subscribe.
And
Subscribe.
KKR wins. Score ball over Thank you.
Come on, Dhoni. Do for the boys in yellow.
Y'all don't even have a tagline.
Listen. Just feel sorry for SRH. We're coming back, man. 2022 mega
What's a
auction.
head-to-head with you?
I know, yeah. I'm missing the bloody back. There we go. Anyway, cheers, guys. I'll catch you next time.